welcome or welcome back. This is Pairs Well with Knitting. I'm Jennifer, and this is a knitting podcast all about knitting, yarny adventures, and travel. Thank you so much for joining me. Thrilled that you're here as always, and I'm super thrilled that I get to share about Norway Part 2. So excited. If you missed it, I did a Norway Part 1 video all about Oslo. Stavanger is the next stop for the love of my life and I in Norway. We're going to talk about the trip, of course. We're going to talk about a finished object of mine with a lot of like Norwegian roots for me. And we're going to get on with the show. So let's do it all. First of all, along with the fact that I feel like I'm taking a risk for myself and trying to do minimal editing as I go, where I'm trying to film in a one-stop shop, do less editing. I am also going natural. I just had my hair cut yesterday and trying to embrace this beast of hair. I call it cheveux sauvage. It's it's the wild side of Jennifer coming out, and we're here for it. I'm trying. I'm also just came back secret from the gym. I had a class I tried to film right before, and couldn't fit it in. So we're we're filming post class, pre-shower, if that makes sense, because I'm leaving again tomorrow to meet up with a friend in the States, and then along with another trip of my life. What? This is magical summer. Magical. Let's get into the magic of knitting. So my finished object, and I'm going to try to show this, but I also have a lot of B-roll, so I hope you can follow along with this. This is a fully mohaired sweater, inspired very heavily from my time in Oslo, from the lovely knitters that I saw in the city. I'm going to hold it up for you as well and talk all about it because I had a blast making it, and I hope you enjoyed as well. I've had so much fun. All right, we're just gonna like throw it on like this on my sweaty body. I tried to put a shirt on and make it look like I have it like I'm put together, but really like we just ripped off the sweaty sports bra 2 seconds ago. So true secrets of a knitter that fit knitter will say, fit knit girl. So this sweater, my goodness. Okay, we're gonna tell you all about it. It was I had a glorious time making it, and I've been wearing it in the evening. She has been worn on a date night already. So obviously no name, no designer. I freestyled this sweater, and again, heavily inspired by the knits I was seeing on the knitters of Oslo. I was in love with what I saw. So this is in Bella by Permin. It's a very heavy, like thick mohair. It's one strand, just obviously single. The recommended needle is chunky. So this is recommended to be knit on a, 6mm needle. I ended up using a 5mm. For the other folks, it's an 8 US needle. Look at me doing 2 needle sizes. What? Who am I? Curly hair, minimal editing, and trying to do both needle sizes. We're doing it all over here at Pairs Well Knitting. So this yarn is Danish yarn, not Norwegian, but I did buy it obviously in Norway. That's where we were. For 50-gram ball, you get 145 meters. I bought 4 of them. I'll tell you all about where I bought them. Made in Italy. Interesting. But this was the kind of mohair that I saw on these beautiful, colorful summer knits that people were wearing on Oslo. Yep, in love with it. This is a color exactly 84, romantic number 84. In my opinion, this is a really, I would say, vibrant apricot. This is like, I'm just loving, obviously, this color because it's warm, it's loud, it's fun, it's bright, and I find, like, for me, this goes with everything. Like, it's weird, you would think no, but I feel it does. So I'll tell you about the construction of how I put this sweater together, And yeah, I mean, I don't know if I went along or against kind of like knitting techniques and trends, but this is what I did. And I really had a play and a think around a lot of it. So basically, what I was seeing was two rectangles, front and back, one front, one back, with picked up sleeves from the knitters that I was seeing on the streets of Oslo. Super simple design. I loved it. You know what? I'm gonna throw it on my sweaty body over the blouse. I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know if it's gonna show as it should. Hopefully the B-roll did its justice. But just when I'm talking about it, I can point to it and then that'll make a little more sense, like the show and tell piece. Hold up. All right. I hope I fast forwarded that spot of making it a little more speedy. So I've got this like honking huge blouse underneath and I've obviously like rolled up sleeves, but we're good. So I can talk about it. So what I did is I did a gauge swatch, even though I wasn't following a pattern because I couldn't find a pattern that I liked that followed along with what I had wanted and envisioned for this exact yarn. So I ended up doing, and there was one side note, there was a pattern slightly what I was looking for by Sanus Garn for their ballerina yarn. It's a newer, thicker mohair they came out with. Simple design sweater that they had paired with this yarn. You had to buy some Sanus products like the yarn to be able to purchase, not even get free, purchase the yarn. But they didn't have this kind of colorway, and there were so many beautiful, vibrant colors in this Bella yarn. I had to. I had my eye actually on this colorway from Garntopia in Oslo, but I'll tell you where I bought it, and we'll get into that. Sorry, side note. So with this, I got a 16 stitch gauge for 10 centimeters or 4 inches. And this was actually a tighter gauge than recommended by the yarn company. They recommended to get a 14 stitch gauge per 10 centimeters or 4 inches. I did go down the needle size, of course, from 6 millimeter recommended to 5 or US 8s. What I had wanted to do as well, there's so many like side notes of this, is that I wanted to, so I didn't have my knitting kit with me, like my needle kit. I had to purchase needles. And part of like moving forward into Bergen, but backing up into Stavanger where we were, is that I wanted to purchase one set of needles that I could use on the airplane for if I ran out of knitting on the way back to Canada, on the way back to Toronto. And I didn't want to have to purchase like 2 or more needles for like ribbing, etc. So this like concept that I brainstormed in my head, my own knitting head, was very minimal in all the ways, not only the aesthetic of it, but in items I needed. So what I did is I purchased a set of needles right before we left Bergen, actually, and I'll talk about that in my Norway part 3 video. This is part 2. I wanted wooden needles that I could bring on the plane and not have to worry about because I was only doing carry-on, so didn't do metal. I already have heaps of needles here, and I didn't want to have to purchase another like size or even length of cable. I wanted a one-stop shop. Also the concept, not only that, but I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could knit an entire sweater with one set of needles. Pretty much success. Minus tapestry needle and crochet hook. So let me get into like how she's organized. What I did is you're going to be like, who are you? This curly hair kid, like what's happening? I knit bottom up. Here's why. I had seen these sweaters that I loved on the Peeps, and they had this awesome like stitching or stitched together seaming look at the shoulder line. This is exactly what I wanted, and I couldn't in my brain figure out another way of getting this other than a bottom up sweater at the time. So I knew I either had to do a 3-needle bind off or a crocheted seaming situation. Here's what I did. So after I got my 16 stitch gauge swatch and feeling happy, I've calculated roughly how much, how big I wanted my rectangle to be, how thick, how wide I wanted it. Did a really rough estimate. Again, this was I'm on a plane, I'm traveling, I'm trying to figure things out. So I cast on how many? I don't even know. Did I write it? Of course I didn't write it down. Why would I have written it down? Oh yes, cast on 82 stitches, and I did an I-cord cast on. So I'll show you up close. That's why I also put it on. So I did an I-cord cast on at the bottom because I wanted this really clean hemline and one that wouldn't necessarily roll. Even though on some of the sweaters I saw in Oslo did have that raw hem that rolled. I didn't want that on the bottom. So I cast on my stitches for the I-cord cast on, literally knit 2 rectangles, one front, one back. From there, I troubleshooted what I wanted to do to get this wicked. I love this 3D punchy kind of stitching that seams the shoulder line. So at home now, because I've knit my 2 rectangles, I did a crochet. I did a crochet seaming. It's called a flat crochet join, I believe. I hope that's right. I'm not a crocheter. If you know what it is, please comment. So I did this, and this was exactly the look I went for. I tried different things like mattress stitching or whatever. It wasn't what I wanted. I wanted it to be visual. So many of the techniques I saw were invisible seaming. I'm no, I want visible seaming. I thought about mimicking this seam, which I thought was a delight, on the sides, and I didn't. I ended up doing a mattressy stitch thing together to bring the front and the back together with a tapestry needle. It was super simple, and actually I really like the finish. Then from there, I picked up around what were the whole wool or holes for the sleeve. Super simple. How many did I pick up there? Just to give you an idea, 64 stitches to make a sleeve. I used these guys and I did magic loop again. Same needle I was jazzed, and just went to town. Knit just one, almost tube, if you will, for the sleeve. So this actually knit the round, and I put it on Instagram what kind of finish I should do for the sleeve. So the sleeve options was one that was going to be really a bell sleeve that would continue out, no cinching in at the wrist. The other was a more cinched in balloon look. I went with the balloon look, and I also wanted to mimic the I-cord edging here, which I did to finish the sleeve. And I watched a video, a technique where it allowed me to basically bring the 2 sides, or I don't know, components of the I-cord bind off together. So we did an I-cord cast on, we did an I-cord cast off, if you will. Super pleased. I reduced my stitches by to 38 stitches. So quite significantly less to get this wicked zoop balloon situation. Some lovely people on Instagram messaged that I could do a modifiable sleeve, which was knit it to a bell, leave it at the bell, maybe do I-cord bind off in the bell, and figure out a way to cinch it in. So if I want a balloon sleeve, I can go balloon. If I want to let it out, I could go bell. Love that idea, but I actually am adoring the balloon. And I think for as many things as I do with my hands and moving around, this is just wonderful. It's such a delight, and I feel like it's super cute. I left the neckline raw, and so this is my cast off. I did a knit over knit. Yeah, I did a knit over knit cast off. So I think it's like super traditional, really basic cast off to get this like cute, almost like chain stitchy idea to bind it off. Nothing complicated, and allows for like this raw kind of finish, which I'm super digging. And it's like boaty-esque. So like it's like a nod to a, or maybe it is a full like boat neckline, which I'm loving for the summer because it's open enough to like allow for other things. Like I'm loving, as you saw in the B-roll video, to wear the camisole or like a dress with small little strappy straps. And it's just like a kiss of hotness, like not like temperature hot, but like cute hot, if you know what I mean. And I'm loving it. So like I said, I wore it to date night when it was a little chillier out at night. And yes, I'm considering bringing this away with me for the weekend. Super squishable. It weighs nothing. I mean, it took less than 5 balls. I think I have half a ball left in total. So what is that? 550, 250. It's like little like 25. So it's probably like, what is that? Oh my gosh. 5, 10, 15, 20. It's definitely like 200 and maybe 25 grams, I'd say, ish, of yarn. Like nothing. So this is super packable. So I'm loving the fact that I used basically one needle to do the whole thing, and that it weighs nothing, and I can bring it with me on trips, and it, it'll keep me cozy, and it's a punch of color and fun. Like, yeah, I'm super happy. I'm super proud of it. It's a good time. It's a good time, as all knit should be. It is a good time and functional, and it was fun to do. If I were to do it again, I would knit the body in the round. There's no reason why I would have to seam up the side, because unless I was doing this like technique to get that nice like bloop, the extra little bounce to cinch or to bring together the front and back panels, I would do it in the round. Yes, I also was considering doing, which I could do if I was to do this again, a 3 needle bind off to get the same kind of idea with a little textury pop. So for funsies, I was calling this the Somer Genser, which is literally like the summer sweater, but Norwegian-esque, which I thought was, right up my alley. So that's my sweater, inspired by Oslo, but I actually purchased the yarn in Stavanger. So let's get into Stavanger talk, shall we? And I think I'm going to take this off because I'm a little warm. It's getting warmer, so hold up. Okay, embracing this like this mane. Trying to embrace with me, I hope. Please. All right. Stavanger. So here's the story. We had, if you haven't already seen Norway Part 1, as I said, my life and I went to Oslo, Norway to start. It was glorious, so please check her out. From there, we ended up taking a train. It was an 8-hour train from Oslo to Stavanger. It was a little long in my opinion. Love my life, loves taking trains. I enjoy it. It allows me to do a lot of knitting. Would I take the train again? I think I'd take a plane. Much more efficient. And the ride was beautiful. We saw mountains and some fjords, more land than fjords, if that makes sense. But 8 hours was long for me in a train. And I feel like it has to be really special in order to justify, I think, taking that time to just be in a train. It was beautiful. I would fly next time, just my 2 cents. So we get into Stavanger. Stavanger is a city in the, south west part of Norway. So we're looking at the lamb chop. Oslo's like here, say, maybe here. Stavanger's here, Bergen's here-ish, if that makes sense. So Stavanger is a town, with roots in petrol, so oil, and fishing. So again, lots of like industrial roots within this town. The town itself is set out like a ski town, if that makes sense. Very to me, it seems. Sorry, I have a hair in my eyeball. Um, it seems like a chalet type town, super walkable, very pedestrian friendly in the center. There's fjords, of course, like all on the water. This is ridiculous. Sorry, I think it's a mohair on my lash poking into my eyeball. Can you see it? Holy cow. Oh my gosh, I got it. I got it. Like it's there. It's there. You see it. You see it. I'm not bonkers. Um, yeah, so it's right on the water, of course. Beautiful city. We had already started experiencing some rain. We know we're heading to Bergen, where she's rainy. It's the rainy capital apparently of Western Europe. So we get in from the train. We get in obviously in the evening because we've been traveling for 8 hours on the train from Oslo, and we're expecting it to be relatively chill. It is not. It's the weekend. It's Friday, and there was a food festival going on when we got there. It was crazy busy. The food festival was called Gladmat Festivalen, and quote, "It is the most fun food festival in the world." I mean, that is a big statement. We did have fun. The most fun. I mean, it was a good time. Was it the most fun food festival I've ever been to? Maybe it's because I was not indulging the beverages as many as other people had, maybe. But it was great. It was the 26th year this happens. So they had all these kinds of food stalls, food trucks that were set up all over around the inlet or the fjord. And people were walking around. You can purchase food apparently for obviously less than you can at the restaurants. And yeah, beverages and things in very like heavily licensed, very policy driven places where everything is being monitored and tickety boo. So it was cool. It was very unexpected. Didn't know we were getting into that. So that was a good time. I do want to say, yeah, so the cuisine, international cuisine, if you're into food, could be a great option. I mean, it's the funnest. Sorry. Also the most fun, not funnest. English food festival in the world. So you might want to go check it out. There was very loud music when we got in, and our hotel actually was like kissing the festival. And we thought, oh no, like this is gonna be, we're not gonna be able to sleep. Again, it seemed that there were laws in place all over every city that there can be loud noises and music and all this, but things shut down, like in noise way, completely shut down at 11 o'clock p.m. Out. Like there can be club anthems going, and then 11 o'clock, boom, it's over. It's so bizarre. Like here in Toronto, it's disgusting. We're like, music all the time. We can, I hear stuff at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. sometimes. Goodness, is not supposed to be, but no, 11 p.m., like super doable. Yeah, so that that was helpful as a girl who really likes her sleep. Yeah. So it's an early party scene in all the ways. People start to enjoy their food and beverages earlier on in the night, I feel, than here, if I had to judge and compare. And but also like finish off earlier from what we saw. We were not out until wee hours of the night, so we may not be the best people to comment about that. What we did in Stavanger, let me tell you. So that was the evening. We had a beautiful, fun dinner at a fish restaurant, seafood restaurant, I should say, called Fisket. Oh gosh, Fisket Orget. I'm trying. I'll put in the show notes maybe. Beautiful seafood restaurant right on the water. Super low key on the outside. Like I'm talking like plastic kind of picnicky chairs. Inside was like fancier, small, tiny. Beautiful seafood. We had a mini seafood tower of like shrimp, and the shrimp was like ridiculously delicious, like sweet and just amazing. We had some crab with it. It was great. Side note, we had gone to a cafe prior to have a little snackaroo and tea and coffee, and we tried the Norwegian waffle for the first time since we were there. The Norwegian waffles are beautiful, very thin, not like the Belgian waffles and like mini heart forms that come together with some jam and creme fraiche on it, and it's just beautiful. Anyway, Seafood Tower, wonderful, super busy, so I think we came at a really unique time. We didn't make reservations, got right in, which is great, and yeah, that worked out. The next day, so here's the thing, so we were having breakfast the entire like pre-trip into the trip. I was debating on going to the Sandnes factory. We actually trained through Sandnes, which is a region, town, I'm not sure, but a section. And that is where the Sandnes factory is. I've heard about it from Inga from Knitting Traditions, who I absolutely just adore. And so I was thinking about going. At this point in my suitcase, like my carry-on, I already have a whole, as you've seen with the Oslo trip, a sweater quantity of yarn. Now I have a like a cowl or maybe a vest amount of yarn. I'm already collecting tons of yarn. I know there's a lot more yarny destination adventures in Bergen. So here's my decision. I decide to put the brakes on, and I'm like, okay, I have done tons of yarny greatness, which I love. I also haven't talked about the yarn shop yet in Stavanger, but I will. And I thought, I cannot fit more in my carry-on. And I know I have no control in the ways. If I'm seeing a great bargain, I'm going to go bonkers and do all the bargain yarn. And then I won't be, I have no room. I'd have to buy a new suitcase. So I forfeited the Sandnes factory. It was also an hour away on the train. I was just on the train the day before for 8 hours. I hope you can understand. I was a little disappointed in myself for not going, but I was like, you know what? We're making all kinds of other wonderful, fun decisions. Totally cool. So in lieu, we ended up going to the Cannery and Label Museum, which you might think is a bore and a snore. It was actually fantastic. So it coupled together really nicely because, of course, the canning piece came from the fishery past of Stavanger with sardines and international shipping of that and canning that allowed, obviously, the sardines to stay fresh or not go bad. And it went through the whole history of that, coupled with labels. So a lot of like graphic design, which I really enjoy. Obviously not my background, but I really appreciate beautiful labels, great typography or typography letters, and yeah, loved it. I thought it was fantastic. They also had a cafe in house, and so we had a really nice late lunch, and I had a glass of bubbles while we were at this canning and label museum. It was very busy, and it was lovely to see. It was on a weekend, so people were really enjoying themselves. I believe they were locals. If they weren't Stavanger locals, they were Norwegian folk, because obviously we're listening to Norwegian all around us. It was really nice. So yes, this was the first and only full day we were there. Of course, I was a little naughty and ended up going to a yarn shop. Yes, I did. I went to Magisk Masker, which I believe would be Magic Maker. I mean, I feel like a magic maker myself. That was like within the core of Stavanger, just off of the fjord, I would say, on one of the main drags. And it was fabulous. The love of my life actually came into the shop with me. And so I was trying to be somewhat efficient in my yarn shopping. I was looking for a special skein of yarn for my friend Emily from High Fiber Knits. And she enjoys the hand dyed. She enjoys very soft, beautiful yarns. And I couldn't find, and also could not find hand dyed yarn that I feel fit the bill for what she would enjoy in her aesthetic. I did hear at Magisk Masker, And the ladies are so helpful. They had a brand, and of course, I don't have it written down. And I'm doing One Stop Shop Wonders. So, what I'm going to do is I'll put in the show notes. I also took a little footage actually before I gifted it to her. I just saw her the other day, which was so nice. And yeah, I felt like this was her. Purple, which is not my scene. So I actually had the ladies in the shop help me choose the colorway. Apparently this yarn, which is really cool, is hand dyed like a hop and a skip out of Stavanger from an independent hand dyer, which is very cool. And it was superwash. Yeah, but I really think it fit the bill from hoping what Emily would enjoy, like a grapey color and fun, like different very variegated variation of yarn. Yep. And I of course like I needed the thick mohair. So I ended up, this is where I bought the Bella by Permin yarn, which is this yarn. And this is where I bought the 5 skeins. I had a little bit of a difficult time with color because there were so many stunning colors. So I kind of went to my like extreme happy place of the apricot color. And the ladies are, again, as I've experienced in Oslo yarn shops as well, just super helpful and wanting the best for my knitting experience and pattern choice. But yeah, and like I said, I ended up doing kind of my own thing with that. So that was the yarn shop. Gorgeous samples, like again, tons of samples, just beautifully. The whole shop was just so beautiful. It was a pleasure to be in. A lot of hard copy patterns again. I think I might have mentioned this when we were in Oslo, which I've never seen in Canada outside of knitting books, that there are full-on colored copies of patterns in like a sleeve, like a plastic protective sleeve, which I thought was really interesting because I have so rarely knit from a physical printed pattern. But I guess it's a thing, which is pretty cool. What else? Yeah. Oh, and accessories. They had tons, again, very parallel to shops I was seeing in Oslo, of knitting accessories that included things like from Petite Knit that we just do not see here in Canada, well, say Toronto. So it's like actually the things that you see online, if you click online on her site, is like the straps to the bags or her project bags kind of thing. It was really cool to see in person. I didn't purchase any of them, but they were really beautiful. Very nice. And yes, so we had a lovely day. My life and I did some fabulous things. Went out for dinner and came back at the end of the day after a cocktail. So sun's still nice and up in the sky, which it is in Norway in the evening, which is so gorgeous. And we're just like winding down, before bed. I'm starting to go on Instagram and just like checking out the day. I'm posting some fun things. And what do I see? Let me tell you, this is like, you heard the story about the scenic factory and how I was like kind of felt pulled to go, but justified not going. And I felt so responsible. And I thought, you know what, good for me. Like, look at me being so mature and responsible. And I'm going to do all the yarny bits in Bergen. I do see that Inga of Knitting Traditions on her stories had gone to the scenic factory the exact day that I was there in Stavanger. And I thought, are you kidding? I was going to go there. I probably would have bumped into her. I would have lost my mind in the best way because, number one fan right here. I couldn't believe it. I told the love of my life. He knows that I adore her and her knitting. And he was like, oh my gosh, you almost went. You would have met her. And I was like, don't remind me. So of course I just messaged and said like, oh, I'm right in Stavanger. Like, what do you know? She's like, oh, we drove through Stavanger today. I'm like, of course you did. Of course, I totally missed you. And I'm really, really sad about it. Anyway, these are just, knitting hero dreams one day. I met the grocery girls. I mean, they are my Canadian knitting heroes through and through. That was wicked. So Inga from Knitting Traditions, like, we'll get a meet and greet one day. I'm not worried. It's gonna happen. Okay. Oh, all the sides of me are coming out today. Okay. So in general, that was Stavanger, the like beautiful highs and the like the little miss. But had a great time. We ended up going first thing in the morning, like pre-breakfast. We didn't even have breakfast. We got quickly onto the ferry, and from the ferry ride, which was all boating through the fjords, we went then to Bergen. I will leave the storytelling of Norway there because Bergen has its own wonderful, gorgeous stories and ridiculous, amazing yarny adventures. So, what I will do is I will create a part 3 of Norway that will be coming up to share all of that fun that I had. It was just a delight. It was a delight. Norway is a delight in general. And then there's Zurich. I'll try to like smush it together somehow if I can. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it'll work. And yes, I mean I can't. Okay. Maybe like another video depending about Hillesvåg. I attended and went to the Hillesvåg mill. I had a very special package just arrived today. I'm going to talk about all that too. I'm just going to pause. If you were here for the 1-year podcast anniversary of Pearswell Knitting, thank you very much for stopping by in that video and this one, obviously. I'm leaving for a bit out of town again. Therefore, I am not drawing on those prizes just yet because what would happen is I would draw. You would get back to me as the winners. Hurrah. I would be away and I wouldn't be able to send you your little goodies from that giveaway. Therefore, you still have time if you want to put in a little comment on that video of the 1-year podcast anniversary. I encourage you to do so. And my apologies for not drawing quite yet. I do plan on drawing in my next time. And I think with timing, working backwards, it'll make more sense. And then I can send you more immediately the little prize of fun. So I hope that makes sense. Yes. So I thank you for your patience. And I also thank you for stopping by today. If you enjoyed the video and the little like traveling, silly, yarny adventure stories, I invite you to like and subscribe to the channel. I also invite you to click down on the link below to the Ko-Fi account. And if you're feeling a little more, I invite you to do a little donation. That would be super lovely. Thank you for that. I also have my little pattern on there, so that would be sweet if you want to check it out. And I think that's it. So that was the giveaway, all the little bits and bobs. And yeah, I think we'll say until the next video. I hope you find great joy in your knitting today. I hope you take a risk in something safe, but little risk. Wear your hair natural. I mean, maybe do less editing. Maybe post a sweater or something you've knit if you haven't really done so on Instagram. Post away. And until next time, take care. Bye.